Hello and welcome to another episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Today is the Friday, 29th of March, and we've got myself and we've got James. Stephen will be joining us in about 5-10 minutes. He's just putting on some talcum powder, is what I'm led to believe, pampering himself. So we've got James and myself will just shoot the shit for a bit until we've got a full house, and then we can start on the main menu of Celtic topics. I'm just going to see if we've got anybody in the chat yet. I don't think we do actually have anyone in the chat yet. James, this is a first. This is a first. Right, okay, well, let's generate the interest. How you been anyway, mate? We've no actually, I don't think I've done a podcast since the start of international break. So how have you been finding it this period with club football?
I am the same, mate. I've not been on for 2 or 3 weeks, but no, that's the kid on fit out the way, so we can get back to the real stuff now. The international breaks for me, I know. Obviously, some people enjoy them, but for me, if it's not a tournament, then I've not really interested. I'll stick the games on, but just get back to Celtic and get back to the real stuff. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we can kind of, I say pick up where we left off, but hopefully we can kick on at the business end now.
Fair dues. See, whenever it is the international break, I know that like you're kind of like myself. You're no crazy on Scotland. See, whenever Scotland are on the telly, but there's another interesting game, like I don't know, it's like say like France and France and Holland are playing or whatever. What game would you watch? Would you tune into Scotland always, or would you go for the better quality football?
Funnily enough, you say that. I don't know if I'd say it was better quality, to be fair, but on, was it Monday night the second Scotland game was? Wales played, or Tuesday night, wasn't it? Wales played in the playoff final. So I stuck the Wales game on the telly with my Viaplay subscription, and stuck the Scotland game on the iPlayer on the laptop. But to be fair, I think both games were pretty much as bad as each other. Wales went all the way to penalties and then lost in penalties. But the two games weren't great, to be honest. But unless it's like an international tournament and Scotland's playing, then I'll stick it on the telly. But if there is something more interesting, I'll stick it on.
Fair dues. To the people who are watching, I think we've got a handful of people who are watching. We've got Gaddafi's same text coming in saying, "Are we starting Cameron Carter-Vickers on Sunday?" From what I've read, mate, the quotation for Cameron Carter-Vickers from Rodgers is that he's fine. So I do fully expect him to start for that game. We'll go into it anyway about our kind of thoughts on playing Livingston on Sunday. The lineup and stuff like that. But that, as far as I'm aware, Cameron Carter-Vickers is ready to play. James, I know that we're still waiting for Stephen to join us, but in terms of world football, a pure random question: would you think of Mbappe, his rumoured impending transfer to Real Madrid? It's not yet been confirmed yet, but I saw it on Twitter, and somebody said that this guy's 25. Okay, he's like, if you want to be pedantic, like you might argue that he's not the best player in the world right now. I would say that he is. But at 25 years old, he's not won a Champions League yet. And people were comparing that to Ronaldo and Messi at that age. I know it's a difficult comparison. However, Jenkins left it a wee bit too late to leave Paris Saint-Germain. I thought that he did as much as he could in France with Monaco winning the Ligue 1. And now he's just repeated that feat several times with the biggest fish in town. You know, it's like winning the league with Borussia Dortmund. Why don't you move to Europe, you know? Or the alternative is sign for Bayern Munich. Kind of like the predicament that Xavi Alonso finds himself in. He's at Leverkusen. He's odds on to win the title with them. Why would you move at that point to Bayern Munich? You know, like if you can do it with a lesser team, then do it and then leave. What's your thoughts on Mbappe?
I think it just all comes down to money, to be honest with you. Obviously, PSG on the short of a couple of quid. So
would you know if went to Saudi Arabia if it was all about money?
Potentially, I suppose. But in terms of obviously when he moved to PSG for Monaco, obviously the money for Saudi Arabia wasn't there at that point. don't get me wrong, obviously moving to Real Madrid, arguably the biggest club in the world. I mean, he's not going to be on peanuts there either. But just in terms of when you talk about Mbappe, realistically, probably the only clubs that would have been able to afford them would have been Real Madrid, Saudi, a club in Saudi, or Man City. And when Man City's get Haaland there, then it's probably never going to happen. And obviously, you've got all the financial fair play stuff coming in down in England now. Obviously, it's hitting some clubs like a ton of bricks. So, I mean, I think it's been the worst kept secret in football. It feels as if he's been linked to Real Madrid for the last 3 or 4 years. And obviously, as we say, it's still no confirmed. But if he goes, then I think he'll be obviously a brilliant signing. He's a brilliant player. I know he's playing in the French league, but he's obviously shown it at the World Cups and things like that as well. So I have no doubt he'll kick on. But in terms of him going to PSG initially, I think that would just all be down to money.
Mm-hmm. And when I said probably the best player in the world, if he's not the best player in the world, who comes closest to him out of sheer talent?
Obviously, Messi's still kicking a ball, but I think you'd be basing that on the past and not the present. But
politics,
probably, probably Haaland, wouldn't it? It'd be between the two. Lewandowski's getting on a wee bit now. Bellingham, aye. That would be the three, wouldn't it? De Bruyne as well, but I know he's obviously been injured quite a wee bit recently.
He's like 33 years old, De Bruyne. Did you know that?
Aye, because he's been about for a while, hasn't he? Was it Chelsea? And then, did he leave Chelsea to go to Wolfsburg and he had to kind of work his way back?
Aye.
But I'd be probably between these three. I'd probably lean towards Haaland, to be honest. But it's a hard one because obviously in previous years you would just say Messi or Ronaldo and it'd probably flip about year on year, Messi winning it more than no. But it's a kind of tricky one now with Messi and Ronaldo obviously not being at the peak of their powers anymore.
I think like it's got its benefit of Messi and Ronaldo kind of winding their careers down because they overshadowed everybody. However, the other flip of the coin is that we'll never probably see their likes again in terms of two outstanding rivals playing. You know, like how many other people could say that they played at that level? You know, obviously, in every generation you're going to have world class players, but Messi and Ronaldo, they probably eclipse most generations, with the few exceptions of like your Maradona and Pele.
Aye.
But I guess the kind of the advantage of them winding their careers down is that they don't have a monopoly in the Ballon d'Or anymore, and hopefully that I don't like it whenever you see politics coming into play, and I felt that was a lot of the case for so long with them too. So I think that now the limelight is kind of almost spread evenly amongst the next crop of players and whoever is good enough to kind of to kind of step up. Well, we're talking about it in the group chat. Michael Owen's comment. Michael Owen was interviewed by Simon Jordan for TalkSport, and Owen, despite there's a huge imbalance of the amount of shite that he talks, but occasionally he's capable of a little bit of wisdom. And he said that in his generation there were more pure footballers, whereas nowadays it's more about athleticism. And you can totally understand that because like if you're big enough and you're fast enough, and if you have a small amount of technical ability, then you can easily forge a career for yourself in some of the top leagues, notably in England. Whereas, in his generation, in Owen's generation, going back 20 or so years ago, although athleticism is becoming more and more, prominent within the game, I think a lot of it was like sheer talent. Like I think about people like Robbie Fowler, who wasn't the fastest, wasn't the biggest, but he could score from every direction, left foot, right foot, header. Do you ever kind of think that Owen's got a point with that? Well, some just God-given talent is getting sidelined for athleticism.
I think that's spot on, to be honest. Funny enough, when we were talking about Ronaldo there, R9 Ronaldo, I'd actually watched a wee YouTube video on him, and it was obviously everybody knows he kind of gained weight with an illness and things like that. So the video that I watched, it kind of focused on the end of his career, and he went to Santos. I want to say, I'm sure it was Santos, No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Anyway, it was a team in Brazil. He went back to a team in Brazil, and he looked pretty much the way he looks now. Like he was massively overweight, but he basically put that team in his back for, I think it said it was about 18 months, and then the injuries started plaguing him again. And see, when you watch the wee kind of video, it shows you the clips of his goals, and it just looks as if it's a guy off the street that you've pulled in, and he's thinking the keeper for like 30 yards. It's like walking football, but it's like unbelievably skillful. He's just scoring for everywhere, and like you don't really get players like that anymore. As you say, they're all athletes, and if somebody turned up to your squad looking like that, they wouldn't be playing. The manager would be calling them unfit, regardless of how good technically they were. And as I say, look, when you watch them, I think he broke so many records, goals and assists, and this was at the tail end of his career. And it was just, it was unbelievable, some of the goals he scored. And obviously, when I think of him, obviously you're a wee bit older than me, but I was kind of younger. And when I think of him, I think he'd like 2002 Brazil with the haircut and things. And like obviously then he was frightening. Like growing up, I was going to say he was kind of outside like Henrik Larsson and Celtic. He was the man, but for me, I was always like Batistuta, Shevchenko. But Ronaldo obviously came a wee bit slightly after them. But when you watch it and you just see the shape of the guy, and just he shouldn't be doing what he was doing, and in that shape, and it was just unreal. And as I say, you wouldn't get that these days.
You know what I found really, really curious? I was watching an interview. It was Rio Ferdinand was interviewing Jose Mourinho, and Jose Mourinho. Hi Stephen, how you doing?
Hi lads, what's happening?
No bad. But we're just talking about world football. We were kind of procrastinating until you came on. But I'll just finish my point. I we were talking about Ronaldo and how he was the Brazilian Ronaldo and how he was winding down his career. And the interview that I was watching with Jose Mourinho, he was talking about Ronaldo, prime Ronaldo at Barcelona when Bobby Robson was a manager. And it's an interesting one. You hear about people talk about players in training and should you train as you play. But Mourinho was saying Ronaldo during the training sessions, he was just having a laugh. He wasn't really taking it serious. You know, he was just kind of playing within himself. But on match day, he was an animal, you know, an absolute animal. And I find it quite interesting. I've heard that about even like more recently, Sergio Aguero, who was just kind of, you know, going through the motions in training, but on match day, brilliant. We could just turn it on like a switch. But where you hear people like Roy Keane, you know, your hardened professionals say, you know, you train like you play. I find that a really interesting dynamic, and it's like it's two schools of thought. I don't know if it's like a different culture. I know that Di Canio, in his book, in his autobiography, he said that he treated every training session like a World Cup final. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I can't imagine many Scottish players having the audacity to kind of saunter through a training session like that. What do you think of that one?
What is in people training? I mean,
the kind of the attitude towards it and the professionalism. But I guess if you're good enough, then you have license to do that. Would you think?
Well, I mean, to get that kind of credit in the bank, you have to show it on the pitch. You can't just turn up the training and think you're the king's dick straight away. Like, you know what I mean? You have to prove what you can do on the pitch, and that's over a multitude of seasons. But I mean, yeah, some of these luxury players get away with it to a certain extent because the manager knows what they can offer on the pitch. I mean, Henrik Larsson was probably the prime example. Like, Martin O'Neill didn't let anyone touch him during training because he's the star man. He's the guy who's going to provide the goals. So, yeah, I mean, there's players who could do it, but I think that in terms of training for myself, I mean, I've only ever played amateur football at best. And for me, you have to train to earn your spot in the team and train hard and train the best you can, like you said, Gavin. And if I find with these younger generation coming through, social media really influences them. That they're following they get before they touch a football pitch or they get on for a first team. They think they're it already. They think they've made it. And it's not like that. And you often hear of young players throwing the toys out of the pram because they're not getting opportunities. They're not getting what they perceive as what they deserve. But at the end of the day, unless you're showing it on a training pitch on a day-to-day basis, then you're never going to reach your heights because you're not putting the maximum effort in that you can do. And I think as well, in regards to like the world class players, like you look at, as you said, Ronaldo, the original one. I obviously didn't really see him play that much, but he earned the right, I think, to saunter about in training. He earned the right over a course of years. He proved what he can do on the pitch, and he was the best player of a generation. And that you probably talk about Cristiano, Lionel Messi, but I think them guys, they train hard. They want to put the effort in and get the miles covered in the training pitch. But yeah, there's players, Gavin, out there who think they're it and saunter about and give it the big I am and do Instagram reels and YouTube, whatever, live inside a training ground, just showing they're there, but they actually don't really do much. Jesse Lingard is playing over in South Korea at the minute for FC Seoul. I mean, he was meant to be the next big thing, but then he let all the hype get to his head. Then he got more interested in the social media aspect of things and absolutely ruined his own footballing career because of that. I think there's a fine line. You have to earn your stripes. You can't just walk into a group and expect to be a first team player or expect to go through training, just go through the motions. It doesn't work like that, especially professional football.
That's very true, mate. I think social media it's a disease that needs to be cut off for like the modern day generation of footballers. Anyway, hands on the table. What are we all drinking tonight before we properly start off this podcast?
I mean, for me, I'm on water, and the reason why is last night I was out with the work ones and someone left, and it was meant to be one or two beers. I ended up coming home at like 1:30, 2 in the morning, absolutely wrecked. I ordered myself, what did I get? A pizza with chicken wings and chips, mauled it out of it, woke up feeling like a fat mess, and I've got the fear, and I'm drinking water today.
Nice one. James, I'm drinking tonight. I've got Madre, which I'll have another one right now, but I do have red wine at the ready. I just wasn't too sure the mood that I was going in, so I'm going to do one more Madre, and then I'll play it by ear. Are you joining me in drinking, or are you on the water?
Well, I have actually left it in the fridge, so let me just grab it. I also have a wee bottle of red wine as well. So
nice, and a great football team as well, man. Anyway, Stephen, we were kind of me and James were kind of chatting the shit there. But how have you been during the international break? I know that you're not big on international football. What do you get up to whenever there's no club football? I hear that you're a keen stamp collector. Is that correct?
I collect stamps among other things now. I mean, I think for me anyway, you're kind of turning your hair out until Celtic are coming back. This feels like we always say it after every one, but see these international breaks, they drag, and it's absolutely shite. And look, don't get me wrong, do I sit and watch international football on the TV? 100%, yeah, but it's not really something I'm 100% invested in. And even though we're playing Livingston, I'm absolutely buzzing for it. What did I get up to during the week or the weekend a bit, whatever it was? I don't know, mate. I just went to work, came home, done a few bits in the gym, spent time with my kids. The same as you usually do, but times 10, just to get out and keep busy and make these days go quicker, because it's weird. I see football fans who, like, I don't know, this for example, fucking Watford, Reading, and West Brom and wherever. I don't think they get the same feeling we get when Celtic are playing. It totally disrupts your weekend and your plans, because you kind of revolve it around that. And when you're free, when you can do stuff, as long as you have that available time when Celtic's playing, and the build up during the week, and it's soul destroying. It does my boxing, these international breaks.
Yeah, it's like you're being forced onto detox or something like that. It's very unpleasant. Right, okay, so we will get started with the topics for tonight. Now, one of the most recent topics, not the most recent, but the second most recent topic, however, is that Brendan Rodgers had his hearing with the SFA, and he has been banned for one game with a suspended ban for the second game. So that means that he will be missing the game this weekend away to Livingston. However, he will be back in the dugout at Ibrox, which is quite pivotal. I'm sure we'll all agree. I don't think we can be as cavalier as to suggest that we weren't fussed about it. There was a lot riding on it, a lot of people talking about paranoia, people talking about, well, he's brought the game into disrepute and he deserves the book thrown at him. Now, reading about it, we called up. This guy.
We were instrumental. We had to make calls, Gavin.
It was most inconvenient for me. Yes, I had a full day planned. We brought in Nick DeMarco, the Johnny Cochran of football lawyers. Now, this guy, if you've read his resume, the guy is shit hot. Okay, there's no denying it. Now, this guy was he was one of the people who was brought in to facilitate the takeover for Saudi Arabia buying Newcastle. That's, how big this guy is, how well regarded he is in his profession. I think he's also been involved in some of the English teams who have been docked points. I think Nottingham Forest, he managed to mitigate the points that were dropped for them. So he's basically like, I don't know, the Jason Statham, like the equaliser, that sort of guy. I know that was Denzel Washington, the equaliser, but you know what I mean. An action man for this sort of thing. So Rodgers, as we said, he'll be missing this weekend, but he'll be back in the dugout for Ibrox. So I wanted to ask you guys, we'll start with yourself, Stephen. Does that show that Celtic are ready to challenge the SFA?
I mean, first of all, with a name like DeMarco, it sounds like a film, doesn't it? It sounds like someone like an equaliser, Big Denzel would be calling up being like, DeMarco, can you get me a location on this guy? You don't want to end people. You don't want a facilitator to be your middleman. That's what his name sounds like to me, something like La Mafia. But look, I watched a Celtic State of Mind with Alan Morrison yesterday, I believe it was. And I tell you what, see the high end depth Alan Morrison got with stats and figures and graphs and PDF forms about the SFA and the pattern of assistance. I was hooked. I have to be honest. I was hooked from start to finish. And anyone hasn't seen it, it was Thursday's Daily Bulletin. It was a fantastic watch just to learn numbers and learn the kind of numbers behind why everyone's getting so upset about the refereeing decisions in Scottish football. But hiring someone like DeMarco, I mean, it shows, yes, in a way we're ready. I believe we're going to take them on head on. But it's too quiet. It's too quiet for me at the minute. Last week or 2 weeks ago, it was all guns blazing. We're going to defend the club rigorously. And it's simmered down. The hearing happened. And I thought there might have been maybe a bit more of, I don't know, a bigger statement from Celtic than what it was. Maybe, like an in-depth one to say the next steps that see in this matter, what's going to happen next. But there wasn't. It was kind of, that's it, done now. I know DeMarco put out his own statement saying he's going to be visiting Celtic Park, but look, that's probably just playing fucking tongue-in-cheek there. But DeMarco with his credentials, Gavin, 100%. But if you're hiring someone like him, I expect something bigger. I expect there to be a whole team of people going in being like, this is why we're upset, this is why we think this is why we think that. And from what I can gather, it's 2-game ban, 1 suspended till the end of the season, and it seems like, to me, Celtic are happy with that. I don't think they should be, in my opinion.
Well, that's a good point, James. Do you think that we could have done better? Do you think whenever Rodgers has used the words incompetence, he's name dropped the referee several times, do you think whenever you do that, no matter how good the legal assistance that you have is, that you're expecting some sort of ban?
I agree with Stephen. I don't think this is the kind of win that some of the support are painting it as. Having Rodgers back for Ibrox, of course, that's a positive. That's massive. But when we're looking at the bigger picture, like you say, that he's name checked the referee, he's called him incompetent. We've then put out a statement where we didn't shy away from it. We said we were going to vigorously defend him. We then backed that statement up by appointing this guy who's the Lionel Messi of sports law, or the fucking whatever you said earlier about equaliser or whatever.
Johnny Cochran, the man who got OJ off.
Oh, right, aye, him. So anyway, he's this big shot sports lawyer, the best we could get. So fair enough at that stage where we are backing our words up. And when we're going to those lengths, we must have something. We wouldn't just be getting into it blind. So there must be, dare I say, a dossier of evidence, but there must be some kind of evidence there. Do you know what I mean? Like to back up our claims. And then we've went into the hearing. I think everybody could see the outcome that we go. I think everybody could have foreseen that happening, where it was reduced to a 1-game ban. I know obviously the other one suspended, but I don't know. And then, like, even at that point, you're like, right, well, fair enough. He's going to be in the dugout for Ibrox. Aye, but then the next statement has to be, well, nothing's changed. I mean, the fucking laugh through all this is that Don Robertson's going to be in charge of your game on Sunday. So, surely there has to. Aye, so we can't come out and go all guns blazing and then basically say that he shouldn't be punished at all. And then it's like a convenient compromise, this 1-game ban, so he's there for Ibrox. And look, as I say, him being there for Ibrox is a positive, of course it is. But if it felt as if we kind of had our foot on their necks, really, and then we've just taken a step back and left it when it shouldn't have been. And look, I'm not saying fucking conspiracy theories, paranoid or whatever, but I'm sure that literally every club in Scotland could agree that the referees, the VAR, it's get worse since VAR's come in. It is horrendous. And look, as I say, I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories and whatnot, but it has to be better. And we were some way down the road taking a stand. And with that statement we put out after the hearing, I mean, we said we were disappointed, but is that it? Was that it done then? Are we just leaving it and then it's going to be back to the same old on Sunday and nothing really in terms of the bigger picture is going to change? And I'm no for a second saying that had we put out a different statement and kind of kept going for it, that maybe anything would have changed. But I don't know, it felt as if we've kind of ran in to go in to fit it, and then we've just pulled out at the last minute is for no real reason at all. It just seems a bit daft for me to bring in this lawyer guy and then just basically settling a compromise.
Yeah, it feels like for sorry, Gavin, but it feels like for me as well, like you said, James, it felt like we were building up to something major in terms of a case to be brought against the SFA. Obviously, within recent weeks, Crawford Allen's resigned. And then all that rumours about the Hearts audio being lost seems to be put to one side now because of this outcome. I believe in my heart of hearts, that outcome would have been the same outcome regardless of what lawyer we hired. Do you know what I mean? DeMarco, I thought was coming in to build that bigger future case that James was talking about, because if you have all this evidence, and by the way, the evidence is there for everyone to see. It's not just us making it up, or it's not just one support making it up and the other support saying they're paranoid or faranoid, whatever they want to say. It's there in black and white. You can see it. And I watched it yesterday with the graphs and stuff, and it makes you believe it even more. And it's incredible that we can see this kind of pattern emerging, but then it just gets left to one side because Rodgers got a slap on the wrist. He's not going to be there for Livingston, but he'll be there for the Derby game, and that's kind of to make everyone happy again. It doesn't make any sense in my mind. The outcome would have been the same regardless if it was me or James in the courtroom. Probably would have got laughed at. Me and James trying to defend Rodgers, but I think it would have been the same outcome. I think the SFA probably felt the pressure really heavy on them for this case, and look, the compromise and done what they've done. But it's not a win-win. It's not like, wow, we beat the SFA, or wow, we've cracked open a case wide here, and we can go in and see where this emergence is happening. The evidence that we have, we should have it built up. If one individual can build up a fucking full spreadsheet of evidence, why can't Celtic do it? Why does it seem like we'll go so far, then we take the foot off the gas? And all the rumours about Dermot Desmond being involved in this process, what did he hire DeMarco? What was it, his appointment? And it's like he just left DeMarco to it. I don't know. There's a whole lot of things that we'll never know in terms of what's going on behind the scenes, and that's fair enough. But we can only speculate, obviously. And for me, yes, it's great to have him for the game next week, but it should have been a whole lot more than what we got there. There's a whole lot that needs sorted out in this institution that we play under.
I just hope, sorry, just to jump in there, Gav, I just hope moving forward, because at Rodgers' press conference today, to be fair, he didn't. He said he didn't think he should have been banned, which I was kind of glad to hear. I didn't want to hear him. I know he said he respects the decision and things, but like he still felt he shouldn't have been banned. So I just hope moving forward, let's say for talk's sake, we win 4-1 on Sunday and it's a dodgy penalty, they score, highlight it if we win. It's something I've said for years. See, when you only highlight it if you're getting bet, like the Hearts game, it just can seem to the outside basically like sour grapes. And as I say, hopefully moving forward, he said they were incompetent, so he knows the punishment for it, so he doesn't need to go as far as that. But just keep the pressure on them moving forward. If there is a bad decision, it doesn't necessarily need to be a red card or a penalty or whatever, but if there is inconsistencies in the decision making, keep highlighting it, even if we're winning. Don't wait until we lose a game. And for me, I know people say the Hearts game was maybe a bit of a free hit, but for me, the Hearts game was massive based after the day before. But just keep it going. Don't wait until we drop points to highlight it. Keep highlighting it as we win.
I feel like as well, and sorry, Gavin, but I feel like as well that people or fans of other clubs think we're making this a Celtic issue. It's broader than that. This affects the other 9 teams within the league. I mean, even if you look at there's some horrible decisions you see on Sports Scene, for example. I know there was one involving Hibs recently, involving Hearts as well. And look, it needs sorted out from top to bottom. Like the refereeing process in the SPFL is shocking. I mean, Andrew Dallas, for example, was retiring, and then he got appointed full-time head of VAR or VA, whatever, and he's the one who oversees most things that happen within that in that van they drive about in Scotland in. But it's a whole league issue. It's not just a Celtic thing. But I think we should be pioneering a process and a campaign against what's happening. I mean, let's be fair here. We pay the most for the process. We pay the most for a system that fundamentally doesn't work. Mainly because the idiots that control the system don't have a clue what they're doing, losing audio files, head of refereeing saying 1 week he's happy with it, next week he's hiding, he's on the way off because he's had enough or he's been sacked or whatever. It's embarrassing, and it's every club that's going to be affected by this, and it's not just a Celtic thing. It could be a major decision. It could be us at the end of the season, goal difference, for example. You know what I mean? A penalty kick decides the league. What if it wasn't a penalty? So these type of things need to be eradicated because it's going to go so far and then there's just no way back if no one challenges it.
Right, there's one particular aspect of VAR that really gets me, and I don't know how to kind of circumvent it. It's whenever a referee makes a decision, okay, say it's a wrong decision, and then it goes to VAR. Now, the guy doing the VAR, he will be like a colleague, no doubt. They'll probably socialise outside of work as well, you know, so they're near enough friends. Now, the whole nature of being a referee, it's like you're an outsider of the game, you know, you're part of it, but you're not part of it. You're kind of demonised, and I kind of pronounced that weirdly, demonised.
Demonised? You're demonised, my friend.
But if you get me, that they're kind of the outsiders, almost like the kind of police where you have to obey them, but at the same time, a lot of people don't like the police. And I guess the point I'm driving at here is that why would the likelihood of the VAR assistant contradict his colleague, his friend, and then make him look silly? You know, I think the easier decision would be, like I don't know if you guys have ever done it in your work where like, a colleague has made a mistake, and sometimes it's easier just to kind of go along with it rather than highlight that they've made a mistake if it's going to flare up and they're going to get punished for it by the manager or by a disciplinary. Sometimes it's easier to the easy decision is sometimes the wrong decision, and I don't know how to circumvent that. I've worked in environments where you've got quality checkers who are totally divided to the actual workers who are making the errors or whatever, you know, and it's kept like that for a reason, so that they can be impartial. And I don't know how that they're able to implement that kind of division as well with the referee and the VAR when they're all really in cahoots. They're all working on the same team. They're just alternating different roles from one week to the next. Stephen, have you got any thoughts on that?
I think what's happened here is, right, VAR come in to eradicate bad decisions on things like clear and obvious mistakes. That's all it was there for. But in the SPFL, it feels like every other decision goes to a VAR monitor. Everything's checked with a fine-tooth comb. Games are held up for 10 minutes at a time just to see if someone's toenail clipping is offside. It's that minute. And the referees, in a way, in my opinion, have lost confidence within themselves on the field. So they heavily rely on what's being said in their ear. And I think sometimes it's a cop out. The Yang one for me, it's a clear and obvious error, right? It's not. But what I'm saying is VAR is there to get involved when it is. That wasn't a clear and obvious error. It was a right call. There was no violent conduct. There was no meaning behind him raising his foot. There was no strike with the player's face. He just merely tried to control the ball mid-air, and the player went in with his head. In fact, it was a 50-50. Do you know what I mean? And it's them types of things that VAR shouldn't be getting involved in. Don Robertson made the call. You move on. If it was a goal-scoring opportunity, and for example, Yang took out a player in the box and he was last man, and he only gave him a yellow card, then VAR can get involved and say, no, you're wrong, that's a red card, he was last man, blah, blah, blah. My interpretation of VAR was very simple, clear and obvious, offsides, red card incidents, penalty kicks. Basically your three main areas of what that should focus on. But in Scotland, they get involved in free kicks, checking the tackles time and time again. They get involved in perfectly good goals time and time again, just to see if there's anything they can chalk it off for. And then they get involved with the referee far too much, which then leads to referees probably making the wrong choice because they know they have the backup of the VAR behind them. And like you said, should John Beaton have backed up Don Robertson? Yeah, he should have. It was the right call. It wasn't clear and obvious. And I think that, again, go back to the original point, it's been used far too often in the Scottish game.
Aye. Right. Shall we move on? Unless there's any other pressing opinions on the matter. One other bit of news that they broke today actually was the ticket allocation. I never knew that this was actually like we were expecting news about this, but it broke today. I don't know if it came out the blue for you guys, but I'm sure we've all read it now. The ticket allocation for the Glasgow derbies for next season and onwards will be 5% of the overall capacity. So what that means is that for Celtic, that'll be allowing 3,000 Rangers fans into Celtic Park, and vice versa. It'll be 2,500 Celtic fans allowed into Ibrox. So it's like Rangers, they cut the kind of the allocation back in 2018, wasn't it? And then we immediately responded in kind, and since then it's kind of fluctuated from 750 to 0, and it's been kind of tit for tat. Prior to 2018, people were allowed up to 7,000 visiting fans. So I'm trying to kind of envisage what 2,500 Celtic fans will be like at Ibrox. I know that beforehand we used to take up a full stand. I don't think it'll even be half of that now, perhaps like a third. So the news broke today. James, what's your thoughts on it? Just before you kind of... Sorry, I should have just said, me personally, I've consistently been off the line where go back to the original. That's where I was coming from. So what's your thoughts on it? Pros and cons, but your own personal idea.
Oh, to be fair, you could probably copy and paste what I've just said about the Rodgers kind of court case, or hearing court case. He's hearing. I've always been of the opinion, as has the club, as we're led to believe with the numerous statements we've put out about it. It was either all or nothing. Either go back to as it used to be with a full allocation, or nothing at all. But I agree with you, Gav. I would rather it went back. If that was the two options, I would rather go back to the way it was previously, with the full allocations. And as I say, it's something that the board and the club have put out statements time and time again, saying we're not going to play this game. It either gets back to the way it was, or we keep it the way it is with no supporters. 100%. Stand your gun. Let's not forget why this full debate and scenario ever started in the first place. It's because they couldn't take us winning at Ibrox consistently. That is how it all started. I think even the staunchest Rangers supporter would admit that as well. So the fact that we are even entertaining a compromise is just wild to me. I don't know anybody that, look, you can say, it's good that there'll be an away support back. I can understand that to an extent, but when you look at the bigger picture in terms of what's been said by both clubs, it just, again, like we're saying with the Rodgers ban being reduced to a one-game ban, it just seems kind of like a convenient compromise. And as I say, bearing in mind how it started, how the whole scenario started, I don't think we should be making compromises. The option should be full allocations the way it used to be, or none at all. There can't be any in between. I mean, I've heard people saying the day, "Oh, this is the start of it. This will be it'll eventually through time get back to the way it used to be." Well, I'm sorry, I don't really subscribe to that. It's taken us 5 or 6 years to get to this point, and we're saying this is it just starting. It can't be that way. And as I say, that's what probably the last at least 4 or 5 years that the club has took the stance of it's either everybody or it's nobody. And then, as you say, totally out of the blue, unexpected. It wasn't even the clubs that announced it, which I think tells its own story. It was initially put out by the league itself, saying that the allocations were, but I don't even know if it said 5% or if it said up to 5%. I think
up to 5%.
Aye, so I don't know if it's going to be maybe the same amount. No, it wouldn't even work like that, would it? I don't know how it's going to work. Apparently, your allocation at Ibrox will be the same as the away support in a European game. I don't know how that works though, because apparently you've got obviously people in the tier above will be the Rangers supporters, and obviously as we've seen previously with stuff getting thrown and all that. And again, that was part of the reasoning, was the safety concerns. So I can't say I'm impressed. But I've seen again, just on the forums and that, people saying that it's a win for Celtic because we're getting away support back and it's not going to be the fucking 10 people or whatever it was kind of in the in-between times. And I can't really subscribe to that, to be honest with you. I'm still in the camp of it should be everybody, it should be nobody.
Okay, building on that, Stephen. Now, I'm assuming that I don't want to assume, but if you're of the opinion that you want it back to the original, I get that there's a lot of opinions here saying that it should be all or nothing and that it was Rangers who started it. I totally agree it was Rangers who started it. However, if you do want it to go back for the good of the game, for the good of the occasion, it's the one selling point of this league, you know, if you want to look at it from a Sky point of view, you know. If you wanted to go back to the original, is it right for emotion to be in the way to say all or nothing? Now, it wasn't, you're not going to turn it around overnight. So a compromise is needed if you want to eventually go in the right direction. So from your perspective, are you in the camp with James where it should be all or nothing and let your emotions kind of have a factor in it, which you're entitled to do so? However, do you see the bigger picture and that sometimes you kind of need to let go of that, of the blame game, and you're willing to compromise to get it back on the right track? Where do you stand on it?
I mean, first of all, maybe that's what the market was doing, sorting this out as well. And Rodgers hearing, you never know. You could have been involved in them discussions. But you said it, Gav, there. For me, this is a Sky thing. Let's not beat around the bush. They've put the pressure on, I think. And they've talked about probably new TV deals, and the SPFL have absolutely shot themselves because the showcase game isn't what it used to be. All because Rangers threw the toys out of the pram. The season's gone by when we won there quite easily, not so long ago. So this is a broadcaster thing who've put the pressure on. And again, Rangers have money. We're going to lose money here. So they probably compromised what they think is a compromise and agreed some sort of allocation with Sky. It leaves so many unanswered questions. Up to 5%. Does that mean 1 week could be 1%? The next game could be 2.5%. There's no definite number there. And everyone's jumping in this 5, but you have to read the small print. It's up to 5% at discretion of probably of both clubs. So again, a set number would have been nice so you actually know what you're going with. In terms of the all or nothing, I think Rangers have probably killed off any chances of it going back to full allocation because they give season tickets to the people who actually sit in the stand Celtic would have occupied when they went to Ibrox. So I don't think that's probably ever going to happen again. It's not a compromise where it's a view of getting back to that allocation. I think it's going to stay like this for years to come. As I said there, I don't think I think Rangers will have a lot of unhappy supporters being told that, look, we're bringing back the full allocation. Your season ticket doesn't count for Glasgow Derby games, blah, 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 without getting into the specifics of it. I think Celtic have been always open in dialogue and always open to say, look, we want them back in. We want the full allocation back. A few statements have come out in and around that. What made me laugh today was going through Twitter. Obviously, you see the news getting broken. You scroll down a wee bit, and sometimes like a Rangers thing would pop up on my Twitter feed, and it was like a retweet, and it was off their official Twitter page. And the bullet points I kind of read, paraphrasing, we're going to make sure security procedures are in place. We're going to make sure blah, blah, blah. Like one of the ones that were causing shit. It's mental. It's incredible how like can spin things and their own support can fall for it. I would love the full allocation back. I would absolutely love it. But I'm happy there's going to be fans in. I'm happy that it could be up to 2,500 people. We don't know. We'll have to wait the next season. I would have liked them to try it for the last 2 games of the season to see how it would have went, just to kind of get the picture of it, see where you're going to sit, try the feel out of the stadium, try the new seats, see if there's any trouble. It could have been a bed-in process, but they're going all in for next season on this kind of arrangement. But yeah, it's look, they've caused this. Sky have said, look, if we're going to renew a TV deal, you just need to do something about it, because it's a joke. It's the best game in the world with the best atmosphere in the world, and they totally and utterly destroyed it when they were shite because they couldn't take it no more.
This has just came to me when I'm sitting there. I mean, we've seen, and I mean, we've been on here moaning as well. Like other clubs, Hearts, pretty much every club in the league, they've cut the allocation for Celtic Rangers, and we've come on here and moaned about it. Now, if we were of the stance that it was all or nothing, but our preference was to go back to the full allocation, is that not essentially what we've just done? Have we not just cut the allocation as well and just agreed to it? I get, obviously, there's a lot more circumstances. It's not that simple. Circumstances have played into it, but essentially that is what we've done. We've said we want the full allocation and then agreed to a lesser amount when I know we're talking about the compromise and through time, but why shouldn't we compromise? The only thing that we were guilty of through this whole run was winning at Ibrox and tying a scarf around a goalpost, and it's caused a 5 or 6 year kind of argument, tit for tat, back and forth spat. When our stance throughout has just been either put it back to the way it used to be, or we'll keep it the way it is the new with nobody in. I know what you're saying about emotion playing into it, but I think it's as simple as that. I just don't. I understand that Sky comes into it, but
can I? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but have Rangers not sold season tickets with the terms and conditions stating that they have a ticket for all the home games? So at that moment, unless they change the contract of those season tickets, then they're unable to take away the Celtic games to make room for 7,500 Tims.
But it's not coming in this season, so they would have all the summer. And look, I'm kind of in that boat myself. Funnily enough, we were kind of talking about it yesterday, where I'm kind of looking to get relocated as well. And I was offered, obviously I've got my season book, but as I explained to you, the kind of circumstances that was playing into it to get relocated, I got offered a seat at the Rangers end, and I said no, because through time I expected I wouldn't have that for obviously the Celtic Rangers games, so I said not yet. So I mean, there must be a bit of an expectation. I mean, I'm sure they've got a waiting list the same as us. I don't know in terms of, as I say, I know it's coming in next season. I don't know if they can change the ins and outs in terms and conditions of the season book from 1 year to the next. I don't really know how it works. I know they do their tickets a lot differently for us, but I know you're saying about emotion and things, but I just don't think there was any need. I don't think we had to agree to any compromise. If Sky is putting the pressure on it to get it back to the way it was, I agree with that, but surely then Sky would side with us in the sense that you want it to go back to the way it used to be with the full allocation.
I think the dangerous territory there, if Sky done that, then you would get them pissing and moaning saying Sky favours Celtic over the Rangers or whatever. That gets into a whole different tit for tat argument. But I do agree with you, James, in the essence. The emotional side of things, I think, is what they're using with their own support to why we shouldn't be allowed back in a full allocation. They're the ones using emotion. I think Celtic have been level-headed throughout this process. They've always been open. to having fans back in the stadium again. And like we always go back to, and I want to reiterate it, we didn't start this. We didn't start this thing. It was them. And so, look, you guys would know, maybe more than me in the comments as well. The 90s, the Celtic cut their allocation. I don't think so, did they? When it was tough, and it's one of these things, and it just, the compromise thing. I think Sky probably just went, look, give us a number and try and hit that 5% or something, because at the end of the day, Sky are showing games in Dingwall, they're showing games at Paisley, and it's, if Celtic or Sevco aren't in town, it's half empty stadiums. Doesn't look good. And when the showcase game comes round, I remember loving, like, watching on the TV, the fans giving it to each other, having that 90 minutes of pure desire, pure, like, passion from the stands. And now it's just like, you get your home support, and it's fantastic. You always go back to the 3-0 game in February under Ange Postecoglou, being one of the best atmospheres that's ever happened at Celtic Park. But at the end of the day, there was so many special games. I remember involving 2 sets of support there, and taking that away takes away from the whole fixture in that opinion.
Precisely. You're talking about the 90s, and Stephen, I remember speaking to you about this like a couple of months back, and like in the 90s, I remember the amount of hidings that we got at Parkhead by Rangers, and it was so unpleasant. And they would score a goal, and you would just turn around, and you would see them all gone crazy. You would just hear all the noise, and we were going silent, and it was a horrible feeling. But you knew eventually that the tables would turn. One of the best atmospheres I've ever experienced was the 5-1 game with Mark Burchell and Henrik Larsson and Moravchik. That was beautiful. And then the 6-2 game, even better. We've got 2 very polarising opinions in the comments, and I just want to kind of say thanks to everybody who's actually tuning in and giving us your comments. I appreciate that. So the first one here about this particular topic is for your Ma. Brilliant name.
My mum.
Saying that, I don't know. But the Celtic and Rangers game has been lacking without away fans. It's embarrassing because the quality of football doesn't bring people to watch outside Scotland. We need both fans there. Now, that's one opinion. I think I'm kind of more with you on that one. We've got Monty, who's certainly of a different opinion. And I'd like to hear kind of more about why you feel this. He says he doesn't want any Rangers fans inside Celtic Park. Get them to fuck. Now, Stephen brought up the 3-0 game under Postecoglou, and the atmosphere was amazing. Probably, even more so exacerbated because the fact that it was a night game, and we don't often get that. That was a really, really special game. And obviously the result was brilliant too. But what's your reasons why? Do you just dislike them so much that you don't want them in? Do you not see any added value of any of them being at a Celtic Park? And again, it goes on the other foot as well. So think of the amount of times that we've won at Ibrox, and you've either been there at Ibrox to witness it, or your mates have been there, or you're just watching it on TV and you're loving the Celtic fans go wild. Think of those occasions. Would you sacrifice that for, in your lifetime? Would you not want to see that again?
See that, just to take you up on that 3-0 game you're talking about, and funnily enough, I actually had this conversation with my pal when it got announced earlier, the 5% thing. That 3-0 game is probably one of my favourite Celtic games I've been to. I include that in with Barcelona and all the rest of them. And as I say, that game, obviously, I don't deny that not having any away support definitely will play a part in it. But as you say, that was a nighttime game. If we won it, we went top of the league for the first time in a while. And the fact that we were 3-0 up at half time, I mean, there could have been 10 Celtic supporters in Parkhead that night and they would have had the time of their life. So there was other circumstances played into that. So I get that argument. But for that specific game, I think there was so much more kind of playing into it than just the allocations.
Mm-hmm. Aye. There was other factors that made that a spectacle. One of which was Rio Hatate having a fucking blinder of a game. So going back, so this will be for next season anyway. So roughly 2,500 Celtic fans at Ibrox and 3,000 of the Orcs at Parkhead. So it'll take a bit of getting used to. Orcs, goblins, something for the GRR token. So it'll take something getting used to after what we've had over the last couple of years. But I think I think it's a step in the right direction. But
I think they should have done it for the last 2 games and see what it's like and see how it goes. And I get why they're maybe waiting, but we've got 2 games here, and you're talking about a spectacle. Both teams are going for something. Get the away fans in again. Perfect time to do it.
Fair enough. Right. Okay. Right. So we're going to draw a line under that. We are about 55 minutes in. I think it's quiz time. Yes, it is quiz time. Now, Stephen, you continue to make me the host, and I will continue to.
Hey, don't continue to make. You love it, Gavin. you text me every week. Can I host them? I'm giving it to you. Come on.
Yes, you've got me there. Got me there. Right. Okay. So, I have prepared 10 questions. Now, you know, I like to. Oh, by the way, can I? In fact, no. I'll go to that later on. Yeah. Okay. 10 questions.
What is it? Oh, okay.
You know me, I'm going in different directions all the time here. Right, okay, so we've got a bit of modern, a bit of old. So we're going to test your knowledge, and we're going to start off. Now, I think, I don't know, this is the one thing where I fall down in as Quizmaster. Should we just like shout out the answer, or should we like let you write it down and we go back to it? I think we'll just... Quickest on the buzzer, okay? Quickest on the buzzer.
Go for it.
If you don't have a buzzer, just holler. Who scored the fastest European hat-trick for Celtic?
Mark Burchill.
But you said buzzer. I went like that.
My buzzer noise is Mark Burchill, as we'll find out in the next question.
James, can you go with the 10? Aye, dead on.
Mark Burchill.
Stephen, were you genuinely trying to make a buzzer noise?
I went.
I need to go for James. Okay, so you don't need to make a buzzer noise, whatever your trademark noise is, whatever your I don't know. So just say the answer, okay? Now for question 2.
Yeah.
It's not quick. It's not finger on the pulse. Okay, so you can take your time with this one. This is a true or false. So get both your answers for this one. True or false? Neil Lennon won more league games at Ibrox than Paul Le Guen.
True. Fuck knows what he's googling to get the answer to that.
I'm actually looking down at this. So, false.
It is true. James goes 2-0 ahead.
It's too random a question for it.
Every time he quizzes me, I end up looking like a fool. It's mental.
So up there. That is mental, you're right. So up there.
So Neil Lennon, he got 7. This is about league games, okay? Neil Lennon won 7 times at Ibrox in the league, whereas Paul Le Guen only won 6 times in the league at Ibrox. That's fucking hilarious, man. Question 3. Quickest answer first. Which team did Celtic sign Enrico Annoni from?
Fuck. No. Parma.
Torino.
Okay. It's Roma.
I was closer. They play in the same colour. Kinda.
Burchill is my buzzer.
What kind of buzzer we're talking about?
Right, so we're still 2-0 ahead. We're going into question 4. Okay, now this is why you might regret making me the host. So
1897.
Question 4. This is, you can take your time, both of you, for this one. It's not quickest answer. What was the controversy? And please do not look at the comments if you can do that for me. What was the controversy with Celtic's kit in the game against Leeds on the 1st of April 1970, the European Cup semi-final? So this was the last game before we went in to play Feyenoord. What was the controversy with Celtic's kit against Leeds at Elland Road? Please do not look at the comments.
I don't know. I would say it
was it something to do with the socks?
Yeah. I'll give you that, mate. I'll give you that. If James doesn't know, if you're saying socks, then yeah. So what happened is that
Funny enough, that's
Celtic
exactly
would
what I was
use
going
white
to say.
socks. Leeds.
I was going to say there was a clash with the socks. That's exactly Jed's got it spot on there.
Do not give him that point. Do not dare give him that point.
I was going to say Mark Burchill. It was the socks. That's that word
Gav.
for word. That was no, I didn't know.
Aye, so we had to wear orange socks. Leeds complained to the referee that both teams were wearing white socks, and we had to borrow their spare orange socks. So that's what it was. The photos, it's a striking image. Us in hoops wearing orange socks, but that's what it is. Stephen, you of course get the point for that. Very well remembered. And by the way,
it wasn't what?
We're almost upon that date, the 1st of April 1970. That would have been a brilliant on this day feature. However, I've got a belter for you today, okay? On this day, approximately, give or take, 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ died for our sins. That's your on this day topic.
Oh, sick.
But it's a great segue. Okay, please don't get
he actually came back alive again. I mean,
mate, that was a sequel. Don't give it away.
Jesus Christ,
right.
Jesus was Celtic's new QC.
Okay, so we're at 2-1 to James right now. Question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Question 5. Who was Martin Comper's only appearance against?
Martin.
Fuck! Oh no, you dick!
Was Martin Comper Marvin's fucking Scottish brother?
Oh, sorry, mate.
Martin Compston, Charlie Games.
I did write down Marvin. Yeah, that's terrible.
Is it Morton?
Right, okay. Stephen, are you switching from before you had a glass of water? What are you on now? Is that a cup of tea?
Cup of tea. Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Milk and two?
With milk in. Milk and none.
Milk and none. Good boy. Right, okay.
That's sexist.
I know. Right, so 3-1 to James. Going into the next question. Who did Celtic beat in the 1953 Coronation Cup final? Now, we've only ever played one Coronation Cup final.
Everton.
Hibs.
Hibs.
Beat Hibs in the final. And oh, what a
James, get the posters down off the wall. You're facing them. All the answers are ready. No, there's not. Mate, talking about.
Funnily enough, it's called the Coronation Cup song.
Right, I think James is 4-0 up right now. Running away with it.
You take his point off and well played.
Next question. In terms of matches, who is Celtic's shortest serving manager?
Douglas.
Manager, not caretaker. Manager.
Tony Mowbray.
It's the fucking guy that I can't remember his name for the 90s that I can see in my fucking head.
Liam Brady.
Liam Brady. No, Lou McCarry.
No, none of his. John Barnes. 29 matches. 29 matches.
John Barnes?
I said Douglas.
All right. Oh, well.
Okay.
He was his friend. Like.
Speaking of Kenny Dalglish. Now, Dalglish won 102 caps for Scotland. But how many of them did he win while playing for Celtic? Now, you've got A, 27, B, 37, or C, 47. Take your time with your answers. So he won 102 caps for Scotland, but how many of them did he win while playing for Celtic? A, 27, B, 37, C, 47.
27.
I'll go 37.
Okay, 47, C. Right, now, we've only got 2 more questions to go, and unfortunately, I don't know, should we let spice it up a wee bit.
Should we give Stephen a chance? Is that what you're saying?
No, listen, I don't like that stuff. Not giving me a chance, but play till the end. If you win by 50, it's fine.
No, well, do you remember the format that we did for the other quiz a week or two ago? And it was like, you've got a question, and the amount of answers is a particular number, and how many of them can you name? Okay.
Oh fuck yes! Tanked.
Let's do lines.
Let's do. Right. Okay. So for question 9, there are 10 players to have played for both Celtic and Rangers. How many can you confidently name? If you say whatever 5, then you get 5 points. Okay.
I take it we're including. I take it this is youth team games as well.
No, this
First
is senior.
team.
Yeah. So half of them I've not heard of, because it was gone back in the day. So if you, let's say for example, if you name 5 and you get 5 right, then you get 5 points. But whoever is confident to go for the highest number, 10 players to have played for both Celtic and Rangers. Stephen, you don't look happy.
No, man, I know 1.
Right, I know 2. I think it's the youth game thing's thrown me off because I know loads, but I think it's only youth games I've played.
So for example, like Dylan McGeer, who played for Rangers Youth, that played for Celtic Senior. No, that's not what we're looking for.
Right.
We're looking for, and if you only know 2, that's equally embarrassing, mate. Have a look at yourself.
Right, no, I think I know 3, but Stephen said 1, so I'll
really
say
hard.
2. I think I confidently know 3, but I'm not confident in the third one.
Can I ask a question?
You can.
What era does it stretch back to? Like in terms of the most recent ones?
Like fucking day dot, man. Day dot.
No, but I mean, like is there any in the 90s? No, that type of shit. What?
Oh, well, it's like. Please don't look at the comments. People in the comments, don't talk.
I'm not looking. I'm not looking.
Aye. So it's from day dot up until now.
You didn't help me at all there, like, but okay. Fuck. I'm just going to stick my neck. I only know 1 confidently. Not, yeah.
Right, I'll go. Right, I'll say 3 then.
Right, what's your 3?
He's looking at something. He's looking down at something.
Mate, I've got a notepad.
Hey, mate, what's going on here? Like,
I've wrote the youth players down because I wrote McGeer and also wrote Mark Brown. But as I say, that would be the youth team game. So I've had to name 3 then.
If you are confident you can name 3, then go for 3 because it's going to surpass Stephen's 1.
Right. Well,
if you can't name them, I get the 3 points.
So if I say 4, do I get 4 points?
Right. If you're going to go for 4, you need to say 4 and get all 4 right.
Right, that's cool because I think I know 3, but unsure on. So the first
one's
the Antichrist, Mo Johnson.
Oh fuck!
The second one is Kenny Miller.
Yeah.
The third one is Alfie Conn. The fourth one is the one. I don't know if this could be a youth team shout, but I don't think it is. And it's Stephen Presley.
Yeah, Stephen Presley played against us. Mate, you were right about Mark Brown. He did play for Rangers senior team. Yeah.
Well, the other one was McGeer. He said that was a youth game. Fuck, I had another couple in my head as well. I can't even remember.
Aye, so I think we beat Rangers at Ibrox 2-0. John Collins, I think, scored that goal with the first goal with the Predator boots. Stephen Presley, I think, was playing in that game. So we've got 10 in total here. So James, you get 4 points. I think you had 4-1 up earlier on. You're 8-1 up right now. So the 10 players were Mo Johnson, a guy called Alex Bennett back in the day, Stephen Presley,
know him.
Kenny Miller, a guy called Tully Craig, a guy called Robert Campbell, Mark Brown, who you named. Got a guy called David McLean, George Livingston, and Alfie Cohen.
To be fair, I named the 5 that I've heard of.
You did, Bill. Okay, so last question, just for fun, okay? How many teams can you name that Henrik have played for?
Is this list again?
Yeah.
5. 6.
Okay. Really? Aye, you can do all 6.
6.
That is
that
you
the
can't
max?
repeat. You can't repeat the same.
No.
Stephen, are you okay?
I'm 5.
Okay. Right, James, take it away. 6, aye.
Celtic. They play for Celtic. Feyenoord. Manchester United. Barcelona. Helsingborgs. The last one, I'm torn between 2. I'll name the 2 teams that I'm torn between, and then I'll tell you the one I'm going for. So, one's Hogaborg, and the other one is Landronska Bhoys, but I think he managed Landronska Bhoys, so I'm going to go Hogaborg.
Mate, that's outstanding. That's really, really well played. I never knew about Hogaborg. So, James, if you got that wrong, it would have went 8-7 in your favour, but now you are much further ahead. So, well done.
I'm cutting this allocation. Fuck this.
That was good. I enjoyed that. See, for other kind of quizzes in the future, is there any kind of themes that you'd like me to focus on, or do you think that the mastermind subject is a wee bit too difficult for someone to have a specialised topic in football or in Celtic? Do you think that's a wee bit too niche?
Crayons, mate. Give me crayon questions.
What about your stamp collection? You'd be ace at that.
Why do you think I've got a stamp collection? Where'd you get this from?
Just what I've heard, man. Just what I've heard. Okay, the other guys
collecting stamps.
Heard you like
what? No one's ever said that. I know what I collect stamps.
No smoke.
Jed, you're sitting there one side Google, one side the podcast. No chance anyone was getting that.
Yeah, that was 14-1. Right, guys. Before we get into the Livingston game, I was going to talk about one particular question, which I had in my mind. It might not be phrased in the best way, but if you give me a bit of latitude here. By the way, James.
Stop laughing, James. Stop fucking laughing. I know exactly what you're laughing at. I know exactly what you're laughing at.
It's just funny how well he knows you, innit?
Oh, God.
I've never been to the North.
Been to where?
The North.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll show you a couple of things.
I've been to, I'd rather not. I've been to Belfast once. Been to Belfast once. It was actually pretty decent for a night out. Right, okay, so this particular question, let me just pour myself.
Oh, hold on. What vintage is this wine, Gavin?
Oh,
and what is it?
It's red wine. It's 2023. It's a French wine.
Oof. Give it a sniff. We swirl.
This is a number 6.
Fuck's sake.
That's actually a not bad one from Monty here. Could you ask which managers signed certain players? That would be good.
I'll do that, no problem. Recruitment, I'm fine with that.
I mentioned Enrico Annoni. Who signed him?
Tommy Burns.
Boom.
Stan Petrov.
Is it Kenny Dalglish or John Barnes?
John Barnes.
Surely,
John Barnes.
Surely Kenny Dalglish wouldn't. Well, he was a director of football, wasn't he?
Handle.
Anyway, right, okay. So Chateauneuf, the God bless the Pips. Stephen.
There's no such thing. Why is this happening? Why is this happening right now? I don't collect stamps. Can
someone clip that, please?
Do not collect stamps. I don't know what's going on. Where's it starting?
Vehemently denying his stamp collection. Right, okay, so a question I had, and it was just about this season so far. Now, I know that the season hasn't concluded, but I think there's been a lot of things that like talking points in terms of where we find ourselves right now, the disappointment. And I wanted to kind of ask, what lessons have we learnt so far right now as Celtic fans? Now, just to kind of give you a bit of context as to where I was coming from with this, it was the choice of continuing with a winning squad and not breaking it up correctly, not upgrading, not making tough decisions. So whenever Martin O'Neill had left and Gordon Strachan came in, Gordon Strachan made a number of unpopular decisions. Obviously unpopular with the players in the dressing room because certain players had like gravitas, you know, they'd earned a reputation. And with the Celtic fans as well, there was a lot of affection for some of these players like John Hartson, Alan Thompson, Chris Hutton. And I felt that it's a kind of a precarious choice of continuing with a winning squad to continue winning, expecting them to do that, but not recognising when you need to break it up, when you need to upgrade, when you need to make unpopular decisions. And this kind of, for me, goes back to whenever Celtic lost to Rangers at Parkhead, we get beat 3-0 under Ange. I was furious. A lot of my Celtic fans were saying, well, it's okay, we've won the treble. Correctly, we've won the treble. Why are you getting so annoyed? Why are you being so entitled? But I just felt that it was a sign, even though we'd won everything and there was nothing to play for in a competitive sense. I felt that there was maybe a wee bit more to it than that, that we did need things freshening up. And I felt that we failed to do that. So I think that was one of the lessons that I've kind of cottoned on to, where the board, the manager, they failed to recognise the importance of building on success. Even if you've won a treble, you don't get carried away with that. You cannot rest in your laurels. So that was one particular thing. Another thing that I wanted to get your thoughts on in terms of lessons so far this season, it's the relationship between the Celtic fans and the Celtic hierarchy. And obviously it got really bad during COVID. And whenever Ange took over, things looked somewhat rosy in the garden, even more so whenever Peter Lawwell had left. Now he's back. And you can say it's Peter Lawwell's a massive factor in this, but it's maybe a wee bit bigger than just that, because the overall strategy hasn't really changed that much. So it was the relationship between the Celtic fans and the hierarchy, and are we heading for further animosity? And where is that? Is that just going to always bubble under the surface, or will it ever come to a head? Are they just going to continue to butt heads like the North Curve with their demonstrations and the Celtic board? How is this going to play out? And the other thing I wanted to ask you guys was, does financial superiority justify the notion that the league is yours to lose? And what I mean is that, is it unacceptable for us to find ourselves in a title race because we always have the financial upper hand to Rangers? So I guess that's kind of three loaded questions. The first one was relying on a winning squad to continue winning, not recognising the symptoms of when you need to change. Second question was the relationship between the fans and the hierarchy. Another thing about financial superiority, does that justify that the league is always yours to lose? Who would like to start us off?
I mean, I'll go. I think that if we're looking at Celtic and the playing squad, relying on that team to win time and time again, it's what we've done. It's a symptom throughout the years since I've started watching Celtic, obviously, and supporting them when I was young. We've never really improved the squad from a winning position. And again, that comes back to the neglect from boardroom, neglect from recruitment, neglect from transfer fees. And yeah, my favourite fucking Man United player wasn't Jap's stamp. Like, I feel like everyone wants to laugh at this. I feel like everyone wants to laugh. I seen Gav holding in his laugh, and I was like, I need to get this out, because I wouldn't have forgot it. But look, it's a symptom. We've always stood still, and we've been reactive instead of proactive. And is it going to change? I don't know. In terms, I agree, Gav. I was fuming when we got beat that game, 3-0 against them. We should be aiming to win every game, no matter what's on the line or any. If we won the treble, get that tied up. That's fair enough. But you need to win them games. It keeps the momentum going, and it's a disgrace. What are you laughing at?
I've started something I can't control anymore.
Yes, stamps. You
sorry,
fucking
man.
stamps. Right.
Some of the comments are really funny. Stephen,
Some of the
I'm
comments
going.
are first class.
Oh my God, honestly. Ah, Jesus, right. And in terms of the Celtic and the board, Celtic fans and the board, I think some fans are really quick to forget the issues that we have when we win a few games or win a few trophies. And then when we don't win a few games, it's like get the board out, sack the board, instead of being consistent with the views and the thought process throughout the season. Yeah, it's great winning titles and it's great winning leagues and trebles, but we all know the deficiencies we have at boardroom level, not setting up the club for years to come, not getting the right structure in place, not getting the right recruitment team in place, not funding the manager. There's so many things that board hasn't done. They're penny pinching, they're cutting corners. The stadium looks a mess. There's so many things that need upgraded within the football club and surrounding it as well. And it's not. Jeez, I'm trying to keep a train of thought here, Gal. Thanks for that. But but in regards to what was the third question again?
The third question was: does financial superiority alone entitle you to say that this league is ours to lose?
Well, when you hold over 60% of the cash reserves in the league, then it's absolutely scandalous that we're in a title race. Scandalous that we've let them catch us up from a standing position. We should be miles ahead. And look, I get there can be title races and seasons anomalies, and Bayern Munich are having that at the minute with Leverkusen breathing up their necks and looks like they're going to lose the Bundesliga, I think the first time in a few years. But these things can happen. But our processes, our practices should be so far ahead as a club. It's mental how they've caught up with us in a small amount of time since they were fucking created in 2012. It's an absolute joke, and I think too many people brush that kind of issue under the carpet because we're still winning and grinding out results. We're still winning league titles 11 out of 12 years, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, if you hold 60% of the cash reserves within a league, you should not be in a title race. It's madness. And them comments are catching my eye every time, and it's making me laugh inside. And I'm trying to hold a straight face, but there you go.
Stephen, you've done remarkably. I'm finding it so difficult not to look at those comments because they're brilliant, and it's really disrespectful because whenever you're trying to talk and people are laughing at you, it's not very kind.
Just stamp it out, will you?
James, changing a winning squad, it's a difficult thing, especially whenever you've got players that fans love, that they've made a career, or they've made for example, like changing Kyogo, for example, that'd be a very unpopular decision to drop him, which we've actually seen done, but now he's came back into the team. It's things like that, changing a winning team when they're on the up. Nobody likes doing it.
I agree. I agree to an extent. Obviously, if you're picking out your best players to change, then you'll get backlash. But I mean, Greg Taylor won a treble. Could we have replaced Greg Taylor? Carol Starfelt won a treble and left. Has he been replaced adequately? I know we signed Navrotsky, but obviously Liam Scales is playing that position. So you could probably Joe Hart up for debate. I know he's been really good since the winter break, but look, the winning squad thing, and I know we spoke about it kind of when Andrew was here. The winning squad thing, obviously winning trebles is brilliant, but I don't know if it was maybe just me, but last season when we won the treble when Andrew was here, it felt different. It was the first time that absolutely everybody at the club was pulling in the same direction, or so it felt. Everybody was in the same boat. And then Ange leaves, and it's
there's a harmony.
In a kind of way, it makes you think that Ange was doing fucking 20 different jobs at Celtic when you consider he left. Obviously, I know Wobble was under Ange as well. But Mark Lobel, sorry. But when Mark Lobel came in, that's when the hit rate kind of fell off a cliff in terms of signings. I'm not going to say every one of Anne's signings was Kyogo level. Of course it wasn't, but by and large, his hit rate was really good. And then, as I say, towards the end, maybe it was just coincidence, but I think we could safely say that there was other factors playing into it. The signings kind of fell off the cliff. So, in terms of changing a winning squad, you're not changing it because you're not changing it for a negative reason. You're changing it because you want to be better. I'm missing comments, aren't I?
Gav's gone. Gav don't have a clue what you're saying.
You're changing it because you want to be better. So, for instance, say it did feel different. Obviously, we won the treble. Me personally, I was expecting us to kick on and splash the cash and have a proper go at Europe, be it the Champions League or drop them into the Europa League. We didn't splash the cash, and look, we can all say we played well in Europe. We done well against Atletico, blah blah blah. We were out with a game to go. It was done and dusted pretty early on, so we didn't do it. In terms of the financial aspect of it, I agree with what Stephen said. It doesn't guarantee you the fact that you're going to win it. But if you, how many times have we heard that PSG's bought the league, Man City's bought the league? We probably find ourselves in that scenario as well. Well, if we actually spent the money, then you probably could say it because we would outspend everybody probably fucking 2 or 3-1 in Scotland. But we just point blank refuse to do it. We'd rather have it sitting on a balance sheet and look at it. And then the day before we announced the financials, we announced the Barrafield thing. And we must be the only club in the world that doesn't want to be too far in profit. So we need to make it look as if we're spending the money. It doesn't make sense. It's so backwards.
It's like the opposite of financial fair play. It's like the opposite of getting done for financial fair play. Like we've got all this money, but we refuse to spend it. And you've got other clubs who don't have any money, but they're like completely in the red because they're spending cash that does not belong to them.
One of the most things they've done the pie chart of the cash reserves in the SPFL, and funny enough, Hearts hold more cash reserves than Rangers do. That just shows you the type of finance that we have over our closest rivals, and they're still breathing or on our necks and could go top tomorrow. We shouldn't be in this race. And it's like, yeah, the Barrowfield thing's great, and Jerry McCulloch flying his wee drone around to show you bits of muck and people wearing welly boots. That's fantastic. But at the end of the day, put that 25 million into the playing squad and prove it we have. And like James said, there's a lot of sentimentality around Celtic. There's a lot of, if we get rid of Greg Taylor, you can't guarantee the replacement's going to be better. So what, we're going to stick with these players until they're retiring and then take the opportunity to do it? Doesn't make any sense. It's one of the fundamental reasons the COVID season went wrong. We held on to Chris Iyer, we held on to Edward a season too long, and their heads and hearts weren't in it no more. That was the fault of Celtic Football Club when they should have cashed in and seen what we could get in the transfer markets. And sentimentality should not be in a professional club. Craig Strachan, Gordon Strachan, Mark Lawwell, Peter Lawwell, jobs for the boys. It shouldn't be anywhere near a club who proclaims to do everything world class when in fact they do everything amateur, in my opinion.
Aye. The fact as well, sorry, Gav, when we appointed Rodgers,
that side was brilliant.
That wasn't skimping, that wasn't penny pinching. Look, Rodgers, as I've said before, and look, I've said my piece on Rodgers in recent times as well, but when Rodgers was appointed, he wasn't top of my list, but he would have been on my list. So I'm not going to rewrite history and say I never wanted him back in the first place. But it wasn't. I don't think you could accuse him. It wasn't like a Neil Lennon appointment. It wasn't a cheap appointment. We spent the money. The expectation at that time, and look, we all heard the rumours, probably spoken about them on here, about Fabian Ryder or Reader, whatever his name is. All these different players, the Croatian goalie, Livakovic. So all these guys were coming in 6, 7, 8, 9 million, whatever it was, and then it just didn't happen. We brought a guy in on loan for Benfica, which, right, fair enough, you can point to Jota, Carter Vickers, that type of deal was benefited us in the past. But then, on top of that, we've brought in guys like Yang, and look, Yang's come into a game recently, but it shouldn't have taken till March for somebody to come in actually kind of turn up in a Celtic shirt. And even like Kyogo was well off it until kind of fairly recently as well, which is why Adam Ida came in and took his jersey off him for a while. So that's where it all falls in the board for me. They've appointed a manager and then essentially just no back them. And as I say, I've said my piece on Rodgers and the recruitment before, but I just don't understand why we would go spend the money on Rodgers to bring him in, openly speak about having a go in Europe and whatever it was. They spoke about the 3-year plan to get to a European final or whatever it was they said at the press conference. But then just everything they've done since then is totally contradicted it. And we now find ourselves in a place where we're a couple of games away from the split. And if they win the Mora, if they win their game in hand, we're the team that's chasing. And it just shouldn't be like that. It should not be like that. As I said before, Celtic and the board should always strive to be the best possible Celtic. We shouldn't strive to be just a nose ahead of Rangers. And that, for me, that is the issue at boardroom level. That's genuinely what I believe they try and do.
Yeah. I guess the other thing was how do we think that this will play out? You know, we do see kind of public protests from Celtic fans. And I think that unless something drastically was to happen in terms of like your tangible success, like not winning a league. By the way, I'm not even looking at the comments. I've had to put it off because I can't hold it together. I genuinely can't hold it together if I look at the comments. Stephen's favorite. Jesus Christ, man. I don't even know. Yeah, I think something drastically bad would have to happen. Stephen needs to process all these postmans. We're going to get a look in. That's a good joke. Not the best delivery, but a good joke. I guess, like, Rangers would have to win a treble in order for like the fans to properly kick off again. I think with just like small bits of hope, small bits of trophies, will kind of keep the board at bay. And I guess at the board, basically what I'm saying is the board have got license to do whatever they want, and it's going to continue that way unless we have an absolute shocker of a season such as the COVID season where it'll all kick off again. I think it has to get drastically bad before you'll see proper protests. But whether the proper protests can actually provoke main change at the boardroom level, I don't know. I really don't know. The only time that we've seen the board... Hi.
I think as well, what we're failing to realise, look, we are in a title race and I still believe we'll win the league. But if Rangers win the league, they'll spend the money they get off the Champions League. They'll spend it. They will put 8, 9, 10 million in, no problem, on players to challenge us further and try and get ahead of us. They will do it. We're so reluctant to spend any money. It's incredible. And by the way, we're not being negative. I think we're just talking this through in terms of, like you said, Gavin, throughout the season and coming up to now and what we're feeling, which is fair enough. I think what baffles me is it's like it's the risk element. People always say a 5 to 6 million player doesn't guarantee success. And no, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, you need to do something to change the squad. You need to bring a new player in every season, couple of players in to see what they can do. 5, 6 million to me guarantees you a better quality of player than a 1 to 2 million, 9 times out of 10. If you do the right scouting and the right process behind that, then you should be flying. I mean, I always go back to it and look, I know it's Mark Warburton and things like that, obviously Breadman and all, but he done an interview with Simon Ferry about his time in Brentford in League One when they were in the start of the Premier League. And the chairman at the time had this innovation called Moneyball, which basically was you buy a player in, sell them on for a bigger fee, then reinvest that bigger fee back into the player squad. You keep doing that, and it transpires into better quality players that come through the door. We get 25 million in for Jota, and it sits there. It just sits there, gathering dust, a bit of interest on it. Jerry McCulloch and Peter Lawwell are basically touching each other under a table saying, well done, lads, brilliant. We've got a couple of quid in the bank. Fantastic. But it should be invested back into the playing squad. And the FFP rules, like you said, Gav, We're doing the opposite. We can easily spend that money and still be within the rules because it's sitting in the bank. And no one, by the way, is saying spend £70 million in a transfer window. What I'm suggesting is, again, best practice. You get the best recruitment team. You get the best recruitment team possible to fill the head of recruitment, data analysis, head scouting, European scout, and you go out and find these players at £5 to £7 million, Portuguese league, German league, Russian league, wherever you can go. Because, I mean, that's not been around the bush here. There's teams in Portugal, maybe from third to whatever, the Bundesliga, sixth position downwards, that we could probably attract players of that quality. I mean, again, it's totally a different subject here, but Hibs, they brought in a guy called Maluda from Hertha Berlin on loan. And yeah, he was playing in the second tier, but he has over 100 French league appearances. He's played in the Bundesliga. I think his overall transfer record is about 13 to 14 million pounds. My point here is there's players to be found within these leagues, players that we can attract. I'm not saying Maluda would get into our squad, but I'm saying if Hibs and Aberdeen, Hearts can think outside the box and go through an entirely different recruitment process, then so can we, and we can afford the best available, like James said.
Aye. That's it, Stephen. We really need to just push the envelope when it comes to signings.
Yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Aye. You need to push back on that, Stephen. You should really push back on that. You need to just return to sender. I'm sorry. Right, okay, let's move on.
Return to sender. No.
That's a tune, man. Address unknown. Right, okay, we've got Livingston coming up, and let's talk about the players who are in, the players who are still out, and the players who we need to kind of be careful about. So, Rio Hatate, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and McGregor perhaps coming back at the right time at this stage in the season for the business period. So Rio Hatate, what I've heard is he's back in contention. Cameron Carter-Vickers, I've heard that he is fine. Kalmak will not be risked on Sunday. Yang has returned with a bit of tightness, and Palma is definitely out this weekend. Now, the boys are stamp duty tonight. Right, okay, so
you started something. You started a big thing.
I know, it's cool. So with Livingston in particular, in the last 10 meetings, Livingston have won 1. We've won 8. There's been 1 draw. Livingston have had 5 goals in the last 10 meetings. We've had 26. And in terms of clean sheets, Livy have had 2. We have had 6. So there's a few things about this, because with the artificial surface as well, we need to be careful about who we're going to play. And I think that might have crept into Rodgers' thinking whenever he is leaving Callum McGregor in Cottonwell for the Rangers game. So, Stephen, with the personnel right now, do you think Hatate will be thrown right back into it? Like, if you've got Callum McGregor out, would you throw Hatate right back in? I really, really missed him, by the way.
Oh, I think we've all missed him. He's something different from any midfield player we have. But I think for me, look, it's the plastic pitch, and we should have enough quality to see off Livingston without him. I would keep him wrapped up for the Sevco game. Even give him 30 minutes in the second half just to keep his legs going, get that match fitness, the old cliche, built up. I get the excitement to throw him back in, but we've seen it too many times this season with Carter-Vickers breaking down. Rio Hatate actually at the start of the season broke down when we brought him back too quick. So there's always injuries that can occur when you rush players back. And Gav, I know you're trying hard, mate, but just... Maybe it's just me talking. I Gavin likes laughing. But I think for me that but I would keep Rio wrapped up. And I wanted to bring up something here, and it's quite interesting. Your ma comes in. Cal doesn't start in the running for me. Being an empty shirt all season would be Awada, Rio, Matt O'Reilly for me. I don't know many people have the opinion that Cal Mack's been that bad. I know he's not been the best, but it's a big call. Big call. Don't know if any of you would agree with that. But yeah, Rio coming back's great. And like you said, Gav, missed him a lot. He's so dynamic. He thinks he plays on the edge as well. And I think Hugo's missed him, to be honest. Breaking lines and trying to link it up with him. I think he's been a huge miss. But I'm excited to see him back. I would probably give him 30-odd minutes at the Spaghetti Hat to see what he can come up with and just get that match fitness going. Carter-Vickers, I don't think will be risked because of his knee. I think he hasn't really played much at the Livingston ground, really, in past games. Calmac didn't train, so I don't expect Calmac to be involved in any shape or form, but he'll be back for next week, which is huge. These players are vital. And the old saying, like new signings, I hate it, but it's true. We've missed these guys a lot. And you've seen the presence that Carter Vickers had when he came back before the international break. The defence was calmer. Liam Scales, whoever was playing beside him, was calmer. Everyone looked more certain about their shape, and they have experience. Have been over the course, and we need that. We need that for the running. It's a huge plus that they're all coming back at the same time.
James, with yourself, expecting the return of the return of Cameron Carter-Vickers and Rio Hatate, particularly CCV. Whenever he's been out, he's came back in, and it's almost like we play him too early, and then he gets another thigh strain, and he's back out again. Do you think we've kind of moved beyond that stage where we need everybody playing right now? And if it's going to be a risk, we still need to play him, because every game is vital. Every false step right now could mean the loss of the league. So would you just start both of them from the start? Do you bench anyone?
I wouldn't start Hatate. I'm with Stephen in that one. I'd probably give Hatate the last kind of half an hour, 20 minutes. It's just unfortunate that it's Livingston at the weekend. If it was pretty much anybody else in the league, be it home or away, barring Kilmarnock, you'd be confident of starting them. Because early in the season, then look, I know he maybe wasn't fully fit, but it did take him a wee while to get back up to speed. And obviously, we know what's coming next week and the importance of that game. So you want, I know he's back, but you want to make sure he's fully kind of ready to go and he's up to speed. So I think he'll maybe get the last 20 minutes, half an hour. Hopefully we're out of sight by that point as well. The Carter-Vickers one I think will be an interesting one, because I don't think he will play Hatate regardless. I think the Carter-Vickers one will be an interesting one, because I don't know, is it only Nawrocki that would be, is Nawrocki fit?
He was training today. Yeah.
Is he fit? Right, so it would be like Nawrocki and Scales then. I don't know. I to be honest, I think I'd be more inclined to go with Carter-Vickers. Even just hopefully we can. Well, this will come back and bite me in the arse, I know that, but hopefully we can get the game well and done with in the first half.
You said it.
And maybe get him off at half time. Because for me, Hatate's a brilliant player, McGregor's a brilliant player, but I think Carter-Vickers probably makes the biggest difference. I think it's the biggest drop off in quality to his replacement.
I agree. And he's a great organiser as well. And I know that somebody was speaking about Callum McGregor. I think sometimes when McGregor is not playing his normal play, he's still a great organiser. That kind of goes under the radar sometimes, but especially with CCV, I totally agree with you. I would start him if he's fit.
Aye, that's what I would do. I'd start him if he was fit, and as I say, honestly, see if the game's done, if it's 2 or 3-0 at half time, I'd probably be looking to take him off at half time, as you say, just to get him wrapped in cotton wool. But I don't think, and look, this isn't me being negative, this is just based off what we've seen. It is the teams at the bottom of the league that they're going to play fucking 11 men behind the ball. Generally speaking, this season, that is what we've struggled with. So I think you've got to go with the best available team. That maybe flies in the face of the Hatate thing I said, but start your best available team, get the game won, hopefully in the first half, and then just get them wrapped up in cotton wool at that point, and maybe bring Hatate on for the last 20 minutes, half an hour to get a look at him. It's just a shame with the Yang thing as well, because it would have been interesting to see him. Obviously, half the back his last couple of performances up until he's red carded. Probably have been him and Kuhn, but we've still got the best winger in the club to come in and fill the boots. So I'm assuming he'll get a start at the weekend.
I was going to talk about that, but I guess that probably creeps in a fair bit about the lineup predictions. Certainly with Palmer out and Yang out, whether they might not be your favourite wingers at the club, but they certainly have, a skill set which can come in handy. So I guess we'll get the thoughts on the lineup. But before we do, the omission of Rodgers itself, Stephen, how much of an impact does that have? Now, this could go the way that James is hoping, and we could build up an early lead in the first half. and everything is hunky-dory and we can start looking at the next game. Or, however, it could be a different game entirely. I know that Livingston are really, really struggling and they need points, whether it's a draw, whether it's a win, whatever they can get, they will grab it, they will fight for it. But it might be one of those games where we're struggling into the second half. We still have not broken the deadlock with Rodgers not in the dugout. And I don't think he's going to do a Jose Mourinho by coming through the laundry basket at half time. Do you think that could have any consequences at all, or are you not bothered about it?
I mean, to be fair, I'll get the players used to what's going to look like next season. Do you know what I mean? But I think, I think, and I'm winding you up. No, but look, it has an impact in some way because obviously Big Kennedy would be taking the reins probably, and he'd be doing all the post-match and pre-match stuff. It shouldn't have a big burn. These teams, like Celtic, do their due diligence during the week, do their training, get their shape. They know the starting lineup. They know what way they're going to play, and they probably won't deviate from that unless something catastrophic fucking happens against Livingston and they go 2 or 3-0 up or something. Touch wood, that never happens. But you get what I'm saying. So the players will be ready. They'll be well drilled and organised and playing the same way they always have done this season. But as I go back to the start of the podcast, it's a joke that he's even banned. But we'll have to we'll take it now and move on, I suppose. And hopefully Celtic are creating something bigger behind the scenes in terms of a case against the SFA. But yeah, it will have a burn, Gav, because it's that Plank Kennedy shouting instructions onto the pitch. But other than that, I don't think the players will be too phased by it.
Fair dues. Okay, so I guess we will get our score and lineup predictions. James, do you want to say what your score and lineup predictions will be?
So I'll go Joe Hart, Greg Taylor, Liam Scales. I'd start Carter Vickers, Alistair Johnson, midfield Iwata, O'Reilly. I just don't like Bernardo. I'd like to get a look at home. I say it all the time, and I say I'd start him, and then I always say it feels as if he's been anonymous. So I'd like a look at home against kind of lesser opposition. Iwata, obviously deeper, O'Reilly, and then I'd go home. Or possibly even Kelly, probably home though, just because I feel as if we never really get a look at him. And then out wide, Kuhn and James, the best winger at the club, Forrest, and then up front. Up front's a hard one because I would play Kyogo, but I think there could also be an argument to arguably wrap him up in Cottonville for the weekend, and you could also probably state a case that Ida would be more suited to the kind of physical side that he's going to come up against. So I think I would actually probably, I think he'll start Kyogo. Kyogo, Forrest and Kuhn as a forward line.
Now, 2 questions. So are you dropping Maida?
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot about him.
Okay. Fair enough. To be honest, whenever you were getting to midfield, I was thinking, who do we have in midfield? The other question I was going to ask you, and before I forget, is you're talking about dropping Bernardo. Fair enough. You know what I mean? He's. I'm not a big fan of Bernardo. However, the other thing you were saying is maybe start home, give him a chance, or if the boy Kelly, give him a chance. What if Hatate, since he's been fit in training, he's been ripping up, and him compared to home or him compared to Kelly, it's night and day. Like, he's a proper professional. He just looks like a proper player compared to these other guys. Would you not just start Hatate and ahead of Kelly?
Nah, I think we should have, without Rio Hatate, we should still have more than enough to get past Livingston. I mean, Livingston obviously are bottom of the league by a fair few points, so we should get past them pretty easily. But the Hatate thing, I mean, let's say for talking's sake, we did go with Hatate to start and we were 2 or 3-0 up at half time and Hatate had pulled up injured, we would all be on here slaughtering Rodgers for starting Hatate. And I think there is other midfielders, and again, Hatate's a brilliant player, but I think guys like Iwata, Kelly, even for what we've seen him, they look as if they're they're obviously not on Hatate's level, but they don't look bad players, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The Bernardo thing as well, look, I know there was a rumour about us trying to get the agreed fee done, and look, see, even for like 3 or 4 million, I don't get it, honestly. I've said before, I think the guy had a spell of 4 weeks where he played really well, and 2 of the weeks he was on holiday. It was like a week either side of the winter break that was it, and he really hasn't. It's a weird one because it's not even that I don't think he's particularly bad, but he's just kind of there. If you were to, you can't really pinpoint what he does as such. He just kind of tends to be there, and I just don't know. I just can't really take him, to be honest.
He scored for Portugal under 21s and captained them there during the international break, so he has a bit of form, I suppose.
But he's also what is it, 22 or 23?
Yeah.
Well,
you're right, James. Yeah.
Is he right? 23, right? Okay.
I don't know. I'm just saying that. I know he's old on 21, but I don't know if he's 22 or 23. So Stephen Welsh is probably a fucking record cap holder for Scotland under 21s team. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how much weight you can put behind that. Obviously, Portugal are a better team technically than Scotland, so I get your point. But just based off what we've seen, look, again, as I say, probably harsh digging him out because he isn't a bad player, but he's just there. He just doesn't do anything for me.
Right, Stephen. Sorry, James. What's your prediction though for the result?
One each. No, I'll go. Hopefully get it done early doors, and I'll go a nice 4-0.
4-0. Okay, confident. Stephen, who are you starting?
Joe Hart, Alistair Johnson. Scales is out, isn't he still? Or is he back?
Was he?
I've not heard anything. He's out. I'm gonna assume he's okay.
Right, I'm gonna go right. So I would go Lagerbielke and Scales. Taylor. In the middle, I'm gonna stick with O'Reilly, Bernardo, and Iwata. Up top, Kuhn on the right. For the middle, Kyogo on the left. Mieta. Fuck my throat. And I would go 2-0 because I've done that in the predictor, so I have to stick to that. So
you would do Lagerbielke to start?
Yeah.
Really? Christ almighty.
I don't get why people don't like him. I don't, but yeah.
I think there's maybe a chance of any of us three getting a game at centre back or Lagerbielke on Sunday, and it's not even that I think he's a bad player. It's just the way it's been managed since January. I think the only way he'll ever get in if everybody's out injured.
You know me though. I throw a curveball and see if it sticks. It's all good.
Okay, and your prediction?
2-0.
2-0. Okay. Right. Well, I'm just going to take this out as I go. So Joe Hart in goals. AJ, TCV has to be there. We'll do it Scales again. And we've got Greg Taylor. In the midfield, we have got O'Reilly. We have got Iwata. And really, is it down to Bernardo, Home,
or Daniel Kelly?
Or Hatate, who's coming back from injury? Nah, fuck it. Rio, man. Rio, let's go for it. I want excitement. Up front, we've got Kuhn on the wing. We've got Maida on the other wing. And we have got my wee pal Kyogo in the middle. Going for that. Yeah, I think that's it's a good midfield. O'Reilly, Iwata, Rio up front. Kuhn, Maida, Kyogo. They're all wee. They're all tiny. And we're playing against the basketball team. So that'll be difficult, of course. But we need to trust in the process. We've heard that before, but we're going to go for it.
I just find it wild that we've got injuries to Palma and Yang, and yours are still keeping the best winger at the club on the bench. That's. I mean, if you actually watch Brendan Rodgers' interview that day, he says that Forrest is the best winger at the club, and then in the sentences afterwards explained why he isn't the best winger at the club. So I don't know. It's a bit of a risk leaving him on the bench.
World class.
Yeah. Well, I forgot what I said in the group
Your
chat.
prediction?
I think I said maybe like 3-1. I think we've always got a goal that we're going to throw away. I think we always do that, and we normally do it when we're ahead with a couple of goals now. So I think it's 3-1 to Celtic. That's what I'm going to go for. Aye. Right, okay, so where are we? We're an hour and 55 minutes in. We've got 39 people present watching us, and I appreciate that people are kind of calming down with the puns. It was wild at one point. I had to move away from the comments. I was really losing my shit. The Maestro here, I'm just going to focus on non-stamp context. Forrest has got the engine. Impact players now. I totally agree with you. Though I think Forrest has still got the knack of fashioning a yard to whip in across, and I think our other players who might have pace kind of struggle with the basics of wing play, and I think Forrest is never going to lose that until he retires. So it's kind of useful to bring him on when we need him. I don't know about starting him. Maybe we're right to start him and then take him off whenever we need to change the game or whenever his legs are going. I don't know, but I would prefer to start Kuhn and Maida on the wings. That's what I would do.
Aye. See, to be fair, I know I'm taking the piss with the best winger at the club thing, but James Forrest probably, off the back of his last couple of performances, does deserve a start. Obviously, coming off the bench, he's looked really good. That, as I say, I'm taking the piss with the best wingers comments, but I genuinely think he probably does deserve a start.
Yeah. Stephen, you have been an excellent sport tonight. Excellent.
I'm here to deliver.
We don't get another quiz, Gav?
No, mate, I've actually got plans. There's an episode of David Letterman I'm going to watch tonight after we finish this podcast.
Signed, sealed, and delivered, I hope.
Shite. Was that Stevie Wonder? Signed, sealed, delivered? Aye.
I have no idea, mate, to be honest. Couldn't see.
Yeah. Right, okay. Right, I guess we'll wrap up now since we're just opening the door for more stamp puns. Right, guys, I've had a good one. Stephen, have you learned anything tonight?
I've learned that I'm an avid stamps. I collect stamps and I'm a postman and I work for Postman Pat. I'm going to stamp on people. Incredible. I've learned a lot tonight, Gav, all from your stamp comment at the start of this podcast. It's caught fire. It's all good. Anna worked in the GPO. I have to make that 100% clear for Maestro and Monty. I'm actually the shift's tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow.
That's only fitting. Yeah. Right. Okay. So today is Friday. We will be back on Monday. I assume. So to everybody who's watching tonight, thank you so much. Hope you have had a good Friday, and hope you have a brilliant Easter weekend. We'll be back on Monday night. I don't know who's on. Stephen, are you on Monday night?
I don't know, mate. I feel like I'm on every one now, so maybe. I don't know. We'll see at the Krakens.
Okay. Right, okay. Well, Stephen, hold me in your arms and let this moment linger.
Oh, God.
I apologise. Right, okay. Aye, guys, we will end it now. We're at an hour and 58 minutes. And yeah, I guess that's everything. So thank you very much. I'm going to end the stream right now. Love yous and leave yous. Bye-bye. Don't get lost in the mail.